Hey, it's your old buddy Jeff back for another Memorabilia Monday. And this episode is part 2 of our look at lyric journals and handwritten notebooks. For me, it also marks the first time I share with you what is quite possibly my personal favorite piece of memorabilia in the entire hard rock collection. And it's this leather-bound book in my hand. This belonged to Gram Parsons. It is his lyric journal, an amazing document from one of the most important artists of all time. Gram, of course, was in the Byrds, Flying Burrito Brothers, had a solo career, died very tragically at, what was he, 26, I think? Didn't make the 27 club. Probably the most significant artist to influence what became known as the Americana sound. Bands like Wilco, heck, even Mumford & Sons owes a debt to Gram. You can draw a straight line back to this one character. The Eagles probably wouldn't have existed without Gram Parsons and his incredible songwriting, but he also was very close friends with the Rolling Stones and worked with them at length. When the Stones started to countrify their sound, songs like Dead Flowers, Country Honk, and Wild Horses, which we'll talk about in a minute, that's very influenced by Gram. So, let's delve inside here. I love the majorette right in the front page. All kinds of classic Gram Parsons lyrics. There's doodles and drawings. Heck, I think there's even a set list in here. Now, some of the crayon drawings are actually done by Rick Gretsch's child. Look at that, $1,000 Wedding. That is an iconic Gram Parsons song. Look at that. Got the chord changes written out. I mean, this is just a treasure. And Gram had this book for quite a while, and he left it behind, and it wound up in possession of Rick Gretsch, the legendary bass player, and he wound up completing it he copied down in the back of the book quite a lot of classic country songs. A little note from your big pals, the Burrito Brothers. Just a treasure. Now, it's funny, I love this thing so much, it's almost become a joke around the hard rock here. It's like, oh God, is Jeff talking about that Gram Parsons book again? He never shuts up about it. But it really is extraordinary. And we've actually done events based around this particular journal. Gram tribute nights where people could come get a look at it, and we shared digital copies so people could read through it. So much great stuff. Smells like a fire back here. I mean, it's unbelievable. This is interesting. Rick Danko, Garth Hudson, Levon Helm, Howard and Annie, is that what this is? I'm reading upside down. So you've got what, 3/5 of the band, 3/6 of the band here. 3/6. Let's go with half on that. What do you say? Not sure why he was just writing those down, but kind of interesting nevertheless. But as you delve deeper, you find something pretty extraordinary. Yeah, that's nice. Smiling little cloud. Now, there are unfinished Gram songs in here as well. Oh, this is great. That's a set list. It's a Flying Burrito Brothers set list in Gram Parsons' own hand. What? Wow. Maybe we looked through this once and speculated that it might have been for performances at the Troubadour in Los Angeles. Another set. That's fantastic. This is a later period because they were doing the song Older Guys, so later period burritos. Well, they weren't around long enough really to have a later period, but relative to their short career. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. These are the handwritten lyrics and chord changes to Wild Horses. Now, amongst us nerds, there has long been a theory that Gram Parsons actually wrote Wild Horses, the song made very famous and was a huge hit for the Rolling Stones. If you look at the credits on the album, it's credited to Jagger and Richards. But oh boy, does it sound like a Gram Parsons song, which led to a lot of speculation that Gram actually wrote it. In fact, it first appears on a Burritos album. Still credited to Mick and Keith, but Gram released his version before the Stones did, feeding the speculation. Now, why wouldn't Gram insist on credit and royalties for his own song? Well, Gram Parsons was a really wealthy guy. He came from a rich family, trust fund guy, and money was not a motivator for him. Hanging out with the Stones and being inside that whole world was very appealing and where he wanted to be. So, in my opinion, to Gram, just giving the Stones a song was no big deal to him. He's like, I've got thousands of them. Yeah, sure, you guys can have it. I don't care. But it's been a source of speculation forever. So here's Wild Horses in Gram Parsons' own hand, in his lyric journal, with chord changes and little parts of phrases circled. But that's not all. My official Memorabilia Monday gloves are messing me up. Here it is again. Unbelievable. I think that this is very possibly, and there's a third version. I think this is close to solid proof that Gram Parsons did indeed write Wild Horses. That can still be argued. I think it's interesting that this line, a dull aching pain, which is an actual line, a lyric that appeared in the song, was added later in a different pen. That tells me he wrote, I watched you suffer, and he was kind of going back and forth with what he wanted that next line to be, and he came back and wrote it later. Unbelievable. So this is, in my opinion, one of the absolute treasures of the hard rock collection. Gram Parsons' leather-bound lyric journal with not one, not two, but 3 versions of Wild Horses. A personal favorite and a true piece of history. So, hope you enjoyed it. I'm your pal Jeff Nolan, Memorabilia Monday. See you next week.